We going?
We should be good.
Yeah. It's the most wonderful time of the year. I hope you know. It is standings time, ladies and gentlemen. This is my favorite. This is my favorite thing to do on this channel. It's been my favorite thing to do on this channel in its existence, because we dive into every team. We dive into all 30 teams in these standings. Today we're doing the East. Looking ahead, looking forward to this next season, and breaking down what we think is going to happen. You know, historically, we have been pretty off base in our standings. Eastern Conference, we've had a better track record than the West, wouldn't you say, Jacob?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to kind of predict than, Sacramento ended up being, the 1 seed, 3 seed?
Well, yeah, there's that, and then OKC and Minnesota last year in the West, which we were both horribly off base on. So yeah, the East has been historically, I guess, a little easier to predict. I went back and I watched last year's episode earlier today, and I got Boston right at 1. I know I got Miami right at 8. Everybody else that kind of fell in between, I don't think I got right.
I don't even remember mine. Let me see if I can pull it up.
But to say our 1 through 4, the only thing that was different was Cleveland and Philadelphia. We had those flip flopped, and past that, I had the Hawks at 5 last year, which was a big miss. As the Hawks were pretty bad. But yeah, I got the Heat right at 8, and you were kind of critical of that.
I had them at 7 last year. We both did. We both had the Wizards at 15. Was that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
They weren't 15. The Pistons ended up being 15.
So we might have got all of them wrong.
Yeah.
Except Boston. We both had Boston. You had Miami at 8. I had Indiana at 8.
So maybe the East is not our forte anymore. We'll have to see with this year. This year, obviously, some moves have been made. Some players have moved east from the West that may alter these standings. So we'll have to see how it goes today. I'm really excited to get into this. We'll do it the same way we've done it the last 2 years. We've got our off-season ads here, and we've got our projected win totals, where we're both going to say either over or under on what we project to be the win totals. It's going to be a blast. Y'all come along for the ride. Eastern Conference standings, we're about 2 weeks out from the start of the regular season, a little less than 2 weeks now. So it's really the home stretch of the off season. We got preseason going on. It's about that time, y'all.
Trying to get my transactions pulled up real quick.
15. We'll start at 15 like we normally do. I expect these first 3 teams for us to have the same 3 teams, maybe in a different order. Let's start out, Jacob. Who's your 15? Worst team in the East.
My 15 is the Washington Wizards.
We don't have the same 15.
Okay. I don't have their ads. What were their ads? I know they brought in Brogdon. They drafted 3. They had 3 first-round picks, 2.
They did. They drafted Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, and Keyshawn George in the first round, and they also brought in Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey was their other ad.
That's right. I think it'll kind of be what it was a little bit of last year with the Gafford trade. They'll kind of sell eventually. Sell for more picks or just. I know last year was the year to. No. Take that back. This year's a tank more than last year was a tank. So I think they're actually going to try to – more teams will tank quicker this year instead of kind of play it out 40, 50 games. But I just don't like their roster. I know we both kind of thought Jordan Poole would average like 30 points last year or like 25, 30 points.
So, yeah, just a little off.
Not one of our best takes or conversations. So I just don't see them winning many games. They'll probably end up, either blowing games or resting players eventually. I just had them last. I kind of like other teams a little bit better than them.
Yeah, these bottom two out of these three especially are really like you can pick. You can just close your eyes and throw a random dart at a dartboard to pick either or of these final two teams. I had Brooklyn at 15 though. I had Brooklyn at my 15. Their offseason ads are interesting. They add Bojan Bogdanovic from the Knicks. They add Zaire Williams from the Grizzlies, who was kind of the outcast of that Grizzlies team towards the end of last season. And our favorite player in the world, Killian Hayes, is back in the NBA on the Brooklyn Nets. I'm so excited.
I forgot about that.
I'm so excited he found his way back to an NBA roster. But yeah, Brooklyn's going to be bad. Brooklyn's going to be really bad. Cam Thomas is the first option on that team, we assume?
Yeah, he will be.
How many points do we think Cam Thomas averages this year? How many shot attempts? Getting choppy.
What'd you say about Brooklyn? I mean, about Cam Thomas. You cut out for a second.
Yeah, we're getting a little choppy. I might have to bear with us this episode. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, Cam Thomas. I was asking, how many shot attempts do you think Cam Thomas takes this year?
I wouldn't be surprised if he led the league, honestly.
Yeah, he's gonna be a chuck. He's gonna be a chucker for sure.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to limit him any. They're just going to see what he can do. I think Brooklyn was my 14.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Washington was my 14. So
yeah, so not far off. I'm pretty sure Dorian Finney-Smith will get traded. Cam Johnson might get traded.
Bojan probably gets traded.
Yeah, we'll kind of see what. I doubt anybody will trade for Ben, but we'll see how he plays. But yeah, Cam Thomas is probably the only him, Claxton, and who did they draft? Do they even have a first round pick this year?
They did not. They did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess they're just gonna try to tank. So I mean, them at 15, I probably could have did, but I just think they're gonna sell most of their players. Keon Johnson.
Yeah, it doesn't look very bright over there in Brooklyn.
Yeah, they really didn't add any. Who knows? One of those two will probably be 15. More than likely.
Win totals for each. Brooklyn's projected win total is 19.5. I went under.
19. What's Washington's?
Washington's is 20.5. I also went under.
Okay, yeah. I go under on both, yeah.
Yeah, I think both of those teams are going to be actively trying to lose. They're going to be active members of the capture the flag game that multiple teams will be taking part in. But those two teams will probably be pretty good at it come February when they've traded off some players, most likely, especially Brooklyn. That's why I think Brooklyn has the edge to be the worst team because of the players that they'll offload.
Yeah, see, I considered it, but I kind of just they have some talent there. Washington, I feel like they're just trying to develop a lot, and Kuzma might get traded. So but yeah, one of those two should be.
Yeah, I think so too. 13.
Do we have the same team?
I figure we do. Do you have Detroit basketball, the Detroit Pistons?
Yep.
Okay.
They were the whiteboard team last year. Mine with less than 15 wins, I think.
Yeah. Did you say that before the season or during the losing streak?
I think it was during the losing streak. I added it like when it was either at the record or right before the record.
Oh, I have one more question about Washington or Brooklyn. Do you think that one of those teams has like a Pistons-like losing streak this season?
Ooh. Yes, I'll say yes, one of them.
You think one of those teams loses 28 games in a row?
28.
28 is hard. That's so hard.
Who is Brooklyn got Kenny Atkinson, right? Coach.
No, he coaches the Cavs now. They have Jordy Fernandez as their coach, I think.
And I know Washington brought in
They had the assistant that got called up, Brian Keith.
Where did JB Biggerstaff go?
He's in Detroit. He's the Detroit head
Okay,
coach.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about 28. I forgot it was that high, but it could definitely get close to it, especially after like the trade deadline and they move off a bunch of pieces. But I don't know about 28.
28 is a lot. You have to be really bad and really
Yeah.
unlucky to lose 28 games in a row.
Because after the trade deadline, teams will probably be not sitting, but toward the end of the year they'll be sitting players, and I don't know about 28.
Yeah, and in the East too, like these teams have to play each other, so one of these teams has to win that game.
Yeah.
One of those teams has to win. But back to the Pistons, they had a very busy offseason. They drafted Ron Holland, which is going to be a pick that I'm very interested to see how it conveys because he's not a prolific 3-point shooter, which they really liked last season. But they pick up some guys. They pick up Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, and two of your former Sixers, including your favorite player, Tobias Harris, and Paul Reed, are both on that roster now.
Do you want your Tobias take on the whiteboard?
Yeah, I do. That's the first one. We're gonna bring back the whiteboard this year. Wait. I have to word it the right way though, because do I think he'll actually be a most improved player? No, I don't actually think so. But I think that people will talk about him in that way. I think he'll have a resurgence. I think that Tobias Harris will average 20 points this next season. And I think that will put him in top 5 in MIP. That's what I'll say. Because later in this episode, I have my MIP pick that I'm going to reveal with one of these teams.
All right, 20 points per game in the MIP conversation. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying for Tobias. That's what I'm saying. I know you hate it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Anyways, the Pistons, it's going to be really, really bad for them to be as bad as they were last year, even though they didn't really get a whole lot better. They will be a little bit better. They will be. They've got a coach in Bickerstaff now who's been to the playoffs the last few years with the Cavs. The whole Monty Williams experiment did not work out, which is kind of weird to me still, but it just didn't. Year 2 with Asar Thompson, we'll see if he can take a leap. Obviously, you got Cade at the controls, Jalen Duren running the 5. I've got Malik Beasley in the starting lineup with them 3 and Tobias Harris at the 4.
Yeah.
So, that's what I've got being their lineup. Their projected win total is 25.5. What do we think about that, over or under? Basically saying, can they double their win total from last year? Because they won 13 games. 13 games is crazy.
Yeah, I know. I want to say under, but they might be a team that also kind of sells some of the vets. Maybe, unless they want to keep the vets there to kind of build the culture, because I know that was a problem last year.
Right.
I'll say under.
I went under as well.
They can beat up on Brooklyn, Washington, and a few other bad teams, so that might be it.
Yeah, I think also, being first in odds and falling to 5 in the draft back-to-back years, they're going to be in the capture the flag sweepstakes. They're going to want to be in the capture the flag sweepstakes, so they'll do their fair share of losing probably on purpose towards the end of the season. It may not be something that they even have to try to do. They'll just be too bad to beat teams at a certain point.
Right.
9 through 12, me and Jacob kind of agree that the 9 through 12 will probably have the same group of teams here, probably in a different order. Play-in hopefuls, I guess, is the tier that you can call this one. I've got Charlotte at 12. Jacob, do you have Charlotte at 12? Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. I don't know what the Wi-Fi is, but yeah, I have Charlotte at 12.
Charlotte at 12. Yeah, I've got the Hornets here at 12. They have a new head coach as well. A lot of coaching turnover in the East now that I kind of realize it. They have Charles Lee as their head coach this year. I don't know much about him at all. They should be seemingly healthy. I watched a little bit of their preseason game last night when they played Memphis. Brandon Miller looked nice. Brandon Miller looked really, really nice. I texted you about that. I think that – can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I think that Brandon Miller is eventually going to take over the number one spot on that team from LaMelo Ball. What do you think about that?
I agree.
You think so?
Yeah.
See, I thought that might be kind of unpopular, but I think Brandon Miller has so much potential. I think he has real deal breakout potential here in his second year. They also pick up Josh Green from the Mavs. They have Seth Curry on the roster, and they drafted Tijan Salon with the 6th overall pick. He's a draft prospect that I really liked out of France, a forward who I think can come in and do some good things for them. They'll kind of be the same as they were last year, though. I don't expect them to, take a jump of any type, especially with the first-year head coach. They're not a very deep team, but they're healthy. They got Mark Williams back. Miles Bridges is back for another year. LaMelo should be healthy and ready to go to start the season. Hornets at 12. That's what we're rocking with.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing that kind of interests me is if LaMelo can stay healthy and if Brandon Miller takes a jump.
I think he will. I really think he will. 29.5 is their win total projection. I said over. I think they'll win 33 games. I think they'll go 33-49.
I'll say over, but that's because I want to say the 2 years LaMelo were healthy, they were playing. And I know it's kind of different landscape now, but I'll say over.
Yeah, I think you said it. As long as LaMelo's on the floor, they should, beat that projection. Yeah, Charlotte at 12, pretty self-explanatory. Who you got at 11? Because this is the team right outside the play-in, just missing it. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. I hate these cuts, man.
Yeah, sorry about that. My 10 and 11 are interchangeable, but 11 I have the Toronto Raptors.
Really?
Yeah.
Raptors at 11. What do you mean when you say your 10 and 11 are interchangeable?
Do you want me to go ahead and give you my 10?
Yeah, might as well.
I have Atlanta at 10.
Okay.
So I kind of want to be higher on Toronto. I do like Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, or RJ. But even last year with that group, after it wasn't trade deadline. It was it the second or third month of the season they traded Pascal and OG?
Yeah, they traded OG in January and they traded Pascal like 3 or 4 weeks later.
I thought it was earlier than that.
Feels like it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of higher on that 3, kind of growing a little bit, which RJ Barrett kind of he's not in that market now with a lot of pressure. Not a lot of things to worry about or like a lot of weight on his shoulders being in the big market like he was in New York. Quickly signed a extension this year he signed it?
I think so, yes. I think that's right.
I think I guess kind of him being the running guard. I'm trying to pull up who else did they bring in?
They didn't have any real big offseason moves. They drafted Jacoby Walter with the 19th pick, and they picked up Davion Mitchell from the Kings to be the backup point guard.
That's right. Lost Jalen McDaniels, Gary Trent Jr.
Right.
Okay. See, I'm on the NBA website, so it's kind of I got to go by order, not by conference.
Bruce Brown is still there for right now. He's a trade, candidate along with Jakob Poeltl.
Right. Scotty and IQ both signed a 5-year deal. Okay, that's what it was. Just kind of hoping to see. I want to put Emmanuel Quickley in the here.
Okay, now you're good.
Did you hear the Emmanuel Quickley take?
No, say it again.
I kind of want to put him in the most improved player conversation.
See, I won't reveal it too much. But when I talk about the Raptors, I have a take for that.
You probably have the other Raptor there, one of the other Raptors there, more than likely. Well, I guess Tobias is more of a hot take for it. He is older. I won't say it's a whiteboard take, but I think he has the ability to compete for that. Him and Scotty, maybe even RJ. So, but yeah, Toronto 11, kind of them and Atlanta's kind of interchangeable in that last play-in tournament spot. I guess that's what you want to call it.
I feel that. I have the Chicago Bulls here at number 11. It's weird.
The only reason I have him higher is because Zach LaVine's there right now. I don't think he gets traded.
It would be weird to see him get traded mid-season, I will say. I feel like it would have happened already if it was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to want that contract unless they're desperate. So I just don't think it'll happen yet.
Right. I do have the Bulls here at 11, though. The crazy thing about it, do you know their win total right now, their projection?
I don't, but it's probably low.
It's lower than the Hornets. It's 27.5. If Zach LaVine doesn't get traded, there's no way the Bulls don't win 27 games.
Yeah, I'd take the over on that.
Yeah, easily. But they bring in Josh Giddey, of course, from the Alex Caruso trade. They draft Modest Buzelis with the 11th pick, which I think is a good pick for them. And they bring in Jalen Smith and Talen Horton-Tucker as potential bench pieces. Lonzo Ball is supposed to be back, guys. Lonzo Ball is supposed to be back on the basketball court to start the season. I'm so interested to see what he's able to do. Apparently, he has a completely new knee, which is really weird to think about. So there's that. We had a thing last year with Patrick Williams, where Patrick Williams was kind of like our punching bag, unfortunately, for the first month of the season.
Yeah, I hear you now. You're good now.
Okay. You heard my Patrick Williams thing?
Yeah, the punching bag.
Yeah, unfortunately, Patrick Williams was kind of the punching bag to start the season last year. He got better, I guess, as the season went on. He also dealt with some injuries. But I've got Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Josh Giddey, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic as the starting lineup, especially to start the season. We'll see what Lonzo, like we said, is capable of doing. Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that the current rendition of this team is bad enough to only win 27 games unless they're actively trying to lose games, which I think at that point Zach LaVine would be gone and they would try their best to get off Vooch as well. So with that being said, I took the over on 27.5 of the Bulls.
Yeah, I would too. They were I know I'm kind of ahead, but they were my 9 team. So I'm pretty sure we have all the same kind of close in range a little bit.
Yeah, I have Atlanta at 10 and I have Toronto at 9. So
yeah, see, I wish I had Toronto higher, but I just kind of, like I said, Chicago and Atlanta's just weird to me. I know you had them higher last year.
Yeah. A lot of that was DeJounte Murray, because I thought DeJounte and Trey would, fit better last year. I thought that they could be a really, really good offensive team, which they just weren't for some reason. But this year the Hawks.
Oh, my bad.
Wait, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was saying the reason I had Chicago just tanking with him there.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. But yeah, I have the Hawks here at 10, like you. Of course, they drafted Zachary Risache with the first overall pick, much maligned first overall pick. Although he played really well in his first preseason game. I thought he looked really good. They make the trade for sending DeJounte Murray to New Orleans for Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. They made a couple of smaller acquisitions as well. The Hawks, I don't know. I just don't know. Jalen Johnson was really good last year. He's an MIP type player. They've got a lot of forwards. They've got a lot of wings. They've just got to see who can click. They got to see who can click alongside Trae Young. I know there's been talk of Big O taking over the starting center spot from Clint Capella. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that happens.
It's they'd have to move him, I think, for that to happen. And I don't know who would trade for him now.
Right. The Hawks, I don't have much to say about the Hawks just because I think that they will be, not great. And I think they'll be very 10 seed Atlanta Hawks still, despite everything. I am interested to see if Zachary Risache can kind of, make a name for himself, though, in his rookie season. Projected win total is 35.5 for the Hawks. I'm going to go with a slight over. I think they win about 37, 38 games.
So you got them kind of just a little bit under 500.
Yeah, just a few games under 500. I think Trae Young is good enough to do that. I think Trae Young will get back to all-star level this season.
Yeah, I'll say over just because of that, man.
Yeah, and I had Toronto at 9. Toronto is going to be slightly above Atlanta for me. Like I said, no real big offseason additions, but their little big three that they got over there, I like it. And my guy is Immanuel Quickley this year too.
Yeah.
Immanuel Quickley is going to be my most improved player pick going into the season. I think that he will average up around 23, 24 points. So you can write that on the whiteboard if you want to. Immanuel Quickley, MIP. I think he needs 23, 24 points, and I think he'll average about 6, 7 assists. On a Raptors team that will kind of overachieve. I like Darko Rajakovic's system for that to happen. I think Quickley can thrive in that system along with Scotty and RJ. They've got Bruce Brown still there too. I think people forget about Bruce Brown. While he's there, of course, he may get traded. Jakob Poeltl said some funny things at Media Day. He said, we know that we're not competing. We know what we are. But he was so candid about it. He said, we know we're not good. But we're just going to go out there and try. We're not really competing for anything. We're just going to go play basketball, which is kind of a funny thing to say. Their projected win total, though, is only 30.5. So them being my 9, I'm pretty high. I'm pretty far over that. I think they win close to 40 games. They might win 40 games on the dot. Also, I think Scotty's an all-star.
Can get real hot. Once he gets hot, he's hot. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Scotty's an all-star too. I think Scotty will be an all-star once again. And if Quickley plays that well, he may be pushing that territory also. Those Kentucky guards, man.
Yeah, something about them. It's like a factory over there.
Those Kentucky guards. All right. Top 8. Time to lock in for real. That means we have all of the same top 8 teams, which is going to be an interesting thing. Our order will undoubtedly be different because my 8 seed team, I guarantee we don't have the same 8 seed team.
We probably don't.
I know we don't. I know we don't for a fact.
Okay.
You go first. You go first here. Yeah, you go first.
All right, let me pull up what all they did in the off season.
Oh, if you have to pull up all they did, yeah, we do not have the same team.
I don't know. Okay, here they go. This is number 8, right?
Yep. This is number 8, the 8 seed.
On number 8. I regret this pick. This is the one I was telling you about. I couldn't figure out a way to put them higher. So I have the Miami Heat.
You're like me from last year.
Yep.
You're like me from last year.
I hate to do it. They brought back, or I think they re-signed Bam, brought back Thomas Bryant, Hayward Highsmith. Lost Caleb Martin to Philly, Orlando Robinson, Patty Mills. Not really big losses, I don't think. Caleb Martin some. Maybe Caleb Martin a little bit. Drafted club. Playoff team. But we know what kind of playoff. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Keep going.
There we go. We know what kind of if it cuts like that, I'll kind of keep talking, so it's just not silence or nothing. We'll just kind of catch up as we go. I don't know why. I don't think they're going to be this bad. It's kind of weird to say that when I have them at 8, but I think they're going to do what they always do, is kind of focus on just being healthy when they get there to the playoffs, play in. Now you could say they want to avoid the play in general, in total, which I can definitely see that. I think Jimmy Butler have a better year this year. I know he didn't play too great last year, missed some games. I'm not sure how many he played. I know we talked about it in the position episode. but I think he has a better year. I think this is his contract year. If Bam shoots threes, I know we talked
If
about this
Bam shoots
before.
threes, which he will, he's going to.
I sent you the video the other night of, I think it was like the Heat open practice or something. He made 3 pick and pop threes in a row or something.
I'm saying.
If he does shoot them consistently, they'll be higher. But for right now, I couldn't figure out how to put them over the other teams.
And I guess. I mean, I was the same way. I was in the same boat
Yeah.
last year. I was the same way last year. So I get it.
Because I
Kello
hate-
Ware. I'll say Kello Ware in the preseason game that they played looked really good. He looked really good.
I think he's one of my guys this year. I'm doing like a my guys list this year. I want to say he was one.
Yeah, he's got that stretchability, and he blocked 4 shots
Yeah.
in the first preseason game. So I think the Heat have finally found their backup big. Thomas Bryant's services are no longer necessary.
And you would think that there's some matchups where they could put him at the 5 and Bam at the 4. You would think.
If they wanted to. I think if they wanted
maybe in Milwaukee game, kind of put him on Giannis, put Bam on Giannis.
Did you say anything about them adding Alec Burks and Nasir Little?
I didn't mention Alec Burks or Nasir Little. I just know they lost some guys, but like I said, I knew they didn't bring in many guys.
Yeah, those are just like end of the rotation caliber players, I guess. Yeah, spot minute type guys. I'm not gonna say anything about the Miami Heat yet because I don't have them at 8. My 8 is a team.
You're 8.
Yeah, my 8 is a team that did not make any moves this offseason. They're a team that was solid last year. They won a playoff series, but they didn't do much else. And I think this is completely like a feel thing. I just feel like they're going to have a setback this year. As the Cleveland Cavaliers, I have the Cavs at number 8. Can you hear me, Jacob? Oh, we lost Jacob.
I can hear you now. I
heard the Cavs.
I heard the Cavs at 8.
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
I
Cavs.
really wish. Go ahead.
I was just saying it's gonna be Cavs at 8 for me this year. The only thing they did was they drafted Jalen Tyson, which I think was a good pick in the 20s. But
I thought they got the Silver.
That's the Magic. The Magic got Tristan.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, they didn't do anything, and I guess it's cool to bring your core back. I don't know. I feel like the Cavs are just due for a setback, and I know they had injuries that they kind of battled through last year. It's completely like a feel thing, and it's completely like knowing the rest of the Eastern Conference too, and like what I expect to happen. I just think the Cavs aren't going to be great, and I think that they're going to have to make a move of some kind. I think that them, having some offensive troubles maybe will force their hand to make a move to maybe trade a Jared Allen or even like look at getting rid of Darius Garland. I'm not very confident on Darius Garland. I won't lie. I know he had the jaw thing last year, which obviously hampered him in a pretty big way. But even, despite that, if he played at his regular level, I don't know. Like, I just don't have a good feel on Darius Garland right now on the Cavs. And, I hope he has a bounce back here. But yeah, I'm low on the Cavs this year. I don't have very high expectations for them. I think if they were to play any of these teams that are above them in a playoff series, I think they would lose that series this year. I think that they would not beat a single one of these teams. So that's part of the reason why I had them at number 8. Their projected win total is 48.5, and then since they're my 8, I obviously went a little under that.
Yeah. I won't say where I have them, but it's not this low.
I didn't figure it would be.
But if they deal with the injuries that they had to deal with last year, maybe I could see it. They did have a lot of injuries last year. Mm-hmm. At one point, I think Mobley was out, Garland was out. I'm not sure if Mitchell was out at that same time or not. But I do have them higher. I get more into it when I get to them. But I'm kind of surprised you had them this low, but kind of not.
Yeah, they were the team that I alluded to earlier. I just don't feel good about them. I don't feel good about their depth either. I know they have Karis LeVert. They have Dean Wade who can come in and play some minutes, but I just don't feel good about the Cavs. I don't feel good about them.
Yeah, like you said, this might be the year Jared candidate for future. Who is your 7? Or you go my 7.
I'll go first here. I'll go first for my 7. This is where I have the Indiana Pacers. And I had the Pacers at my 7 last year. Eastern Conference. They're your 7 too?
Yep.
I kind of thought they might be. I kind of thought you might have Orlando here, though. That's good. That's good to know, though. I had the Pacers at my 7 last year. They didn't do very much this offseason either. They drafted Johnny Furphy in the second round, which I think is a steal. I think he's a guy that could potentially crack their rotation. And they picked up James Wiseman. They kind of took a flyer on James Wiseman. I don't expect him to really get any burn either. Yeah. Jarris Walker was the rookie they drafted last year. He didn't really get much burn. Maybe he gets more burn in his second year. He had the Benedict Mathurin injury last year. He looked really good in his preseason game last night.
Right.
The Pacers, it's hard for me to imagine that they can replicate the postseason success they had last year. I think in the regular season, they'll still be a solid team. They'll still have a really good offense.
So they had that stretch where Tyrese missed 20 games, 18 games, something like that.
Yeah, he missed a chunk of that. He missed a chunk of last season. So yeah, maybe 7 is low for them, but I do think that I do think the expectations are a little high for them now, and it's kind of like when the Hawks went to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years ago. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like it's kind of like just a little. I don't know if too early is the right way to put it, but it's hard for me to see this rendition of the team getting back with the teams at the top, with New York getting better, with Philly getting better, with Milwaukee you would think being better, Orlando getting better. It's just hard for me to imagine that the Pacers are able to have another run like that. They'll be a good regular season team though. They'll be a good offensive team. Projected win total 46.5. I'm going to go slightly under. I'm going to go like a game under. I think they'll win about 45 games.
They had what? I think 47 last year. 48. There was, I think, I want to say there was a clump of like 4 through 7 that all had 47, or 3 through 7 had all 47.
Yeah, because Orlando was in that clump. Miami, Philly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember the last game, it came down to who won or who lost the game, came down to all the tiebreakers. I think my main reason for having them this slow is they won't really – I still don't think they're going to be that good on defense. You know, they have Miles Turner, but kind of what else after that? Right. They're going to be great on offense like they were last year, especially having more time now. But I just couldn't put them above the other teams that I think got better than them.
Me neither. And that's like, I hate to always like rationalize it that way, but that's what it is. Like I couldn't put them over the 6 teams that I have above them. I do think in a play-in setting, this would put them on my standings up against the Cavs, and it would put them in yours up against the Heat. Who would you take in that game? Would you take the Pacers or the Heat in that game?
Man, I don't know.
Because that's like contrasting styles to the max.
Right. I really want to be higher on the Heat. I just don't know.
It's the same for me too. The Cavs and the Pacers, very contrasting styles as well.
Because you would take the better coaching with Miami,
right?
Which I think the GM survey they had Eric Spoelstra was the best coach.
Yeah, he blew everybody out of the water.
I don't know. I can't say for today. I don't know.
Yeah. I would think that the Pacers having like some playoff experience now definitely benefits them.
Right. Yeah, it does.
Especially like my projected starting lineup for them is Tyrese, Andrew Nembhard. I have in the starting lineup. Aaron Nesmith, Pascal, and Miles Turner. All of those guys were pretty big in the postseason last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, they're gonna sit at 7.
They're gonna. I think the only way they could be higher is if they kind of just out like they did last year, kind of outpace teams playing, but
Yeah.
offensively kind of fast paced. But once you have teams that are able to slow the game down, they're all that. I don't think.
Yeah. I think also the in-season tournament gave them so much momentum at
Oh yeah,
like
it
the
did.
early part of the season. For
Yeah,
them to have beaten like Boston at home in in-season tournament
Milwaukee,
to make the
Milwaukee.
final,
Yeah,
yeah, like that gave them a lot of confidence early in the season to know that they could kind of hang with the big dogs. And that translated into 2 playoff series wins against 2 good teams in Milwaukee and New York. So,
right.
but yeah. Number 6. Are we rocking with the same team at number 6 then?
No, my 6 is this one at Cleveland.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Make sure I didn't miss it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about Cleveland. I just think Donovan Mitchell, if he's healthy, he'll will them to a few more wins than some of the other teams, especially if they do have everybody else playing. The broke Darius Garland jaw thing was kind of weird. I forgot how it happened. He got
I don't know.
elbowed.
Yeah.
Is it an elbow or a shoulder or something? That's kind of weird. I think he'll have somewhat of a bounce back year. He isn't kind of what he was 2 years ago. I think didn't see that last year really at all. But not much on them. They're just kind of my 6, and the other teams above them, I kind of just want to trust a little bit more.
I feel that. Yeah. I gave my feelings about the Cavs. So I'm glad that you have them below the Magic. I thought you would have the Magic at 6 because that's who I have at number 6. I have Orlando at number 6.
I switched it kind of early.
Okay.
Like right before we got on, I kind of switched it. I went through it and I was like, I'm gonna take Orlando.
Yeah. I've got Orlando at 6, which is 1 spot lower than they ended last year. Obviously, they added KCP this offseason. That's a pretty big underrated ad to give them some shooting, and they drafted Tristan da Silva with the 18th pick. Point guard. I have Jalen Suggs running their point guard this year. I think I think he steps into the full-time point guard role. We kind of talked about Franz in the small forwards video. Can he make threes? If he can start making threes at like close to a league average clip, that makes them so much better. That gives them so much more spacing. Y'all know how I feel about Paolo at this point. I put him over KD. I don't think much more needs to be said about Paolo. I think Paolo is going to have an All-NBA season. Their depth is interesting. Obviously, they've got all the guard depth. They're second-year guys with Anthony Black and Jet Howard. Can they give consistent production? I think that a lot of their success against some of the same tier teams as them might stem from that. I like the Magic, though. They'll be a really good defensive team again. And if they can just start making a few more threes, they'll be a good team. I have them 1 seed lower, though. Their projected win total is 47.5. I went, like the Pacers, with just a slight under, maybe a game.
Yeah, I can agree. They're a 6, right?
Yeah, they were my 6 seed.
Yeah, they're at my 5. I just kind of had them that high because of the defense. I think they're going to be one of, if not the best defensive teams this year, especially bringing in KCP. The offense kind of does leave a little to be desired, unless, like we've said, we know how high you're on Paolo. I know you mentioned it a minute ago.
Right.
KCP does bring in shooting. He's probably going to average close to 10 threes a game.
10 is crazy. You think he averages that many?
He's probably going to average the most on the team. So I might not say 10.
10 is a lot. That's like
my bad.
Guard,
I won't say
like
10.
guard territory, like Tyrese.
Yeah, I won't say 10. But he might average the most on the team, maybe. I won't say 10. That was kind of wild.
I would say that's like shot creating territory.
Yeah. So it'd be, I think, did you say their lineup? Suggs?
No. Yeah, I expect Suggs to be point guard. I expect them to have KCP, Franz, Paolo, and Wendell Carter as their.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, they were my 5. Kind of last year with, I know it's the East, but I had OKC at 6 last year, a lot higher than the previous year. So I think Orlando might be that team this year that kind of people are expecting to be better, but
Yeah.
not what they end up being a whole lot better.
Yeah, I think the same way. I agree with you there. I like, you know, who a player I like going into the season that we've been low on going into seasons in the past? John Isaac.
Apparently he gained what, like 20 pounds or something.
Yeah, apparently he's buff now,
Yeah,
which is
I like.
scary because he has like an 8-foot wingspan.
I know he ran some 5 for them last year. Um,
In the playoffs, he did
yeah,
technically.
yeah. So I'm interested in Tristan Da Silva. I think a lot of the I know you keep up more pre-draft stuff than I do, but I think he was the most NBA ready player for the
Yeah,
draft.
I remember you liked him for Philly.
One of the most NBA ready players. So I think he can come in and kind of contribute more than Anthony Black and Jet Howard did last year.
Yeah, maybe so.
Is
At my
this
number,
says we Miami?
yeah,
We
I'm
switched last year
I'm
after like
high
4
on
or
the
5.
Miami Heat. I'm high on the Miami Heat this year, which is a little unpopular. I've found. Like you said, offseason ads, they draft Khalil Ware with the 15th pick. I think that's a steal, absolute
It was,
steal. What you say?
it was a good pick. I wanted them. I think they had the pick before us, the pick before us.
Yeah, that's the pick right before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel really good about the Heat this year. Obviously, you know what I think about Bam, and I want you to put this on the whiteboard. This is a whiteboard thing. I think that Bam makes 1.5 threes and he attempts 4. I think he attempts 4 threes a game.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, you cut out. I want to make sure. I figured it was ma'am.
1.5 threes made and he shoots 4.
That'd be a big jump.
Yeah. That puts him. Wait, let me think about percentages. He might make, if he's shooting 4, percentages. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right for his percentages.
Honestly,
that's about 37%.
I'm about to say any percent. I'd take him making because that means he actually attempted them.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, especially to start the season, people are not going to guard him tight out there, so he'll be able to shoot them.
Yeah.
But past that, like you said, Jimmy Butler's in a contract year, and I don't know if that's like the catalyst for why I think he's going to have a good year. I just think this is a Jimmy Butler shakeback year. I think we're due for one. I think he's going to come into this season super motivated. I like Jovic and Jaquez going into this next season. I think that they'll both have really good years. Jovic in year 3, Jaquez in year 2. Terry Rozier, he'll have a full year in Miami now. Yeah, I have him as the starting point guard. I've got Rozier, Hero, Butler, Jovic, and Adebayo as the starting lineup. You know, maybe that will change throughout the season. I like this team, man. I really like this team. We know their playoff pedigree. We know Spo. Offensively, I feel like this is the best offensive team they've had since they went to the finals in 2020. I think this offensive team is better than the one that they had when they went to the finals 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I had Jimmy at my best small forward. I think this will be the revenge year for him.
I think so too.
So yeah, like I said, I really, really wanted to put them higher. It's just we've seen before that don't really care about the regular season as much.
Yeah.
Jimmy did get hurt against Philadelphia last year in the play-in game. So
True.
maybe if you made time, but better if you just solidify. So I did. Can see that.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I was just saying it kind of just switches every year. You know, Miami switches for us every year. One of us will have them high, one will have them low.
Yeah, it's kind of the same way with Zion Williamson. I found.
Yeah.
It's called the same way with Zion, but yeah, this is the year I'm gonna be high on Miami. I just feel it. I feel it in my bones.
One of us is bound to be right every year. So.
Yeah. Projected win total is 44.5. Obviously, I'm a 5 seed, so I'm over. I'm at like 40. I'm like 48, 49 wins.
My over-unders won't make sense. I didn't even have them kind of down, but I take that with my over. I'll take that over my.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Top four. That means we have the same top four teams. I think this was the same case last year where we had the same top four teams, but we had a different order. I think this will happen again.
So I wonder. I'm thinking we have different order.
Although I'm looking at it now, I don't know. It depends on how high you are on your team.
Yeah.
So at number 4, this is where I have Milwaukee.
They're my 4.
You do too?
Yeah.
I kind of tried to bargain Milwaukee over Philly, but just with all of the Bucks things, especially with Chris Middleton being a little unavailable to start the season, I'm shaky on the Bucks. I'm shakier than I would like to be because I think that this is Giannis's revenge year. Like you said for Jimmy Butler, I think this is Giannis's year where he comes out and he kind of reminds everybody. Like I've said on this channel over the past few weeks, I still think Giannis is like the best player in basketball. Like pound for pound, I think Giannis is still that guy. Year 2 with Dame, I think Dame will be a lot more comfortable this year. They pick up Gary Trent Jr., Torian Prince, and DeLon Wright, vets who will come in and, provide some back-end rotation security, I guess. The Bucks are a hard team, though, because they're just getting older. They're getting older. Chris Middleton's getting older. Brook Lopez is getting older.
Yeah, Brook kind of just now I don't want to say he fell off, but he took that steep hill down, I guess. The easier way to say it.
It feels like it. Yeah. Bobby Portis is still there. Pat Connaughton's still here. Doc Rivers is the coach. Darvin Ham is on the coaching staff.
If you have Doc Rivers as your coach, you're cooked. Darvin Ham is on the staff, you might be even more cooked. So
hey, maybe Rajon Rondo being there is like the saving grace.
Well, is he on their staff?
Rajon Rondo is on their staff. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I know he was interested, but I didn't know he was there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's in Milwaukee.
If they do what they did with Adrian Griffin, fire Doc. There might be higher on him. We'll see.
Hey, he's been around for so long that they wouldn't dare do that. They wouldn't dare do that to him. But yeah, just some of the shakiness with the Bucks has me just a little lower on them than the other 3 teams that are higher than them. Their projected win total is 50.5, and I'm going to go slightly under. I think they win about 48 games, maybe like a game more than the Miami Heat.
Really?
Yeah. And I know they won 49 games last year with all of the, incompetencies that they had.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go 48, although I do think wait, let me think about that.
I'm going to go over.
Their projected win total is 50.5. It's hard for me to go higher than that if they're the 4 seed, though.
I mean, the 3 seed last year had, 47, 48?
Yeah. I mean, the 3 seed in the West last year had 55, so.
I think the East got 50. You going under?
I'm gonna stay under. I'll go 49 wins again. I'll go 49 wins again for them.
I guess I'll stay under with you. Dame might rest some this year. Giannis might, probably not as much as I would think Dame would.
I just feel like Giannis is out for blood this year.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I know he looked good the preseason game the other day. I think he was like 15 for 20 or 8. So it was something.
Yeah. Him and Bobby Portis, they both had really good games. Yeah, the Bucks are gonna be number 4.
They're a weird team. Like they're just getting older.
In a playoff series, so that puts the Bucks up against the Heat in my 4-5 matchup. That would put the Bucks up against the Orlando. Bucks versus Orlando.
I've been wanting for a while now. It's kind of weird that you want it. I've been wanting a Philly Milwaukee series, which I don't think will happen unless it's.
I feel like we've been robbed of that year after year after year.
2 teams that haven't seen each other in the playoffs yet, out of like almost every other team now.
Which is weird.
But playoff matchup, if it mine with Milwaukee or Orlando. on how Orlando's playing at that point, kind of up to the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah. I would like to see it.
Yeah.
I would like to see it. All right, number 3. I want you to go first here.
This is why I have Philadelphia.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
You got them there too?
Yeah, I have them here too.
The only reason, I don't want to say the only reason, but the main reason, the only reason, I'll say it.
Mm-hmm.
Joel did say that he doesn't care about the accolades this year.
Right.
Daryl Morey said it, Nick Nurse said it. They're going to rest him. Obviously, I'll say all the additions, subtractions. There was a lot, probably the most in the league, maybe.
Yeah.
Going into the offseason, we had 2 players on the roster. Yeah, I think it was Joel Embiid and Paul Reed.
And he's not there.
And Paul Reed got waived. Tyrese Maxey got a max extension. They brought Paul George in on a max. Brought in, it's a lot. I'm trying to do this off the top. Brought in Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry back. Caleb Martin, Kyle Lowry. Re-signed Kelly Oubre, which I think was a pretty good deal. I think it was like a 2-year, $18 million deal.
That's a steal, yeah.
Gershon Yabusele. I'm going to have fun saying that all year.
Olympic legend.
Yeah, he looked really good. It was a preseason game, but he did miss a shot. He looked really good. Probably be our small ball 5 some. Brought in Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson, and drafted Jared McCain in the first round, who has apparently been our standout at camp. He struggled summer league, but I'm watching him the last preseason game. I don't want to say he reminded me of Nick Batum, but he has a no dip shot. Like, he doesn't bring the ball down. He can just shoot it up high, which
That's a skill.
I would say it's pretty valuable. I'm not gonna say he's gonna end up like Tyrese Maxey, who I'm very high on, but he is probably one of those guys that can kind of develop over the next few years, kind of add to his game slowly every year.
I think so.
Especially with street. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's definitely got that shot creating element to his game. I think that he could realistically run some one if he wanted to.
He could realistically what?
He could run like some back if really needed him to.
Right. And Nick Nurse said, yeah, you say he can run some backup point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really hate this Wi-Fi's being so bad. Nick Nurse said he'd be in the G League some, and that he'd kind of have to earn that spot, which I'm okay with, but they even said they're going to rest Kyle Lowry some, so I kind of hope McCain does play more into the year and has a role to keep guys like Lowry and Reggie Jackson kind of fresh.
Right.
I guess I'll use my first whiteboard take.
Okay.
I was right last year. What is it without me having a Philly take? With Joel Embiid saying he doesn't care about games. Probably won't play back-to-backs, more than likely, if I had to guess.
All season, you think?
Maybe. That's what I was saying a lot of people kind of think about. Like, I forgot what player did it, but they wouldn't play back-to-backs. I really don't remember. He might play some, but I think if it's a back-to-back of, like, the teams he beat up on last year, the Wizards,
Pistons, Wizards, Hornets, man.
Yeah, those games I don't see him playing back-to-backs if we even have them. Paul George is more than likely going to sit some. He might play the requirement games, but I think Tyrese Maxey is going to have another jump. And
another one?
Yeah, I've been saying defensive jump, which I think he's underrated on defense. I know he is smaller, but he does get those chase down blocks and the passing lane steals and everything. He got drug tested for looking bigger. I'm not going to do a deep. I think he can average 30 points per game this year.
What?
I think he can average 30.
Really? Okay, I can hear you now, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, it cut off.
30? 30?
I've been debating all episode that I. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, I think.
I've been debating all.
Bro, it keeps cutting you off like right whenever you say, I've been debating.
It says strong signal and it's like still bad. I don't get it. But I'm
You're
gonna
good.
stick with 30. Huh?
You're good now.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with 30.
30? 30 is crazy.
I really want to do 28 to 30, but I'll take the harder route.
What did he average last year? 26?
25.9, 26, I think, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's
that's 4 more points with Paul George.
I don't think it okay. So bring in Paul George, let Tobias walk.
Okay.
Tobias was I don't want to get into Tobias. Paul George and Joel are gonna bring in the Paul George are bringing the bigger wing assignments, I would say.
Okay.
I can trust Maxey if the only wings I'd say who would you even want him on? The top teams. You might have Jaylen Brown on Maxey. Would you want OG or Mikal on Maxey?
I would put Mikal Bridges.
Okay, see he's played good against him before. But I think this also comes with me saying I don't think Joel is gonna average nearly as much as he did last year. He averaged, I think, 35 last year, 34.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be that high.
I'm just thinking 30 puts him up there with like the top 3 scorers in the league.
What would Luka average? 33?
Luka averaged 33 last year. Joel averaged 35, and Shea averaged like 31. But then after that, it would be him.
I know Embiid didn't count because of the injury.
Yeah.
But the way they're talking, they have a plan set up already for him to kind of slow down. And Maxey had his 50-point games without Joel last year. I want to say he had all 3 of them without Joel. I might be wrong. He might have had 1 with them. Anyway. There can kind of alleviate some attention he gets. They're going to have to help on Paul George, who I believe was the best catch and shoot 3-point shooter last year.
Statistically, yeah.
Statistically, so you're not going to be able to leave him like you would at Tobias Harris or a Paul Reed when he was out there. I think he can average 30.
30 is a lot.
That's
good though.
Yeah, the main point, he's gotten better every year. I mean, why stop now? Why stop thinking it now?
Yeah, I mean, for all I know, I said Simons would average like 27 last year.
Yeah,
so.
And I think you had Maxey as your 3rd-team All-NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I gave the other players the benefit of it, but I think he can be an All-NBA player this year.
I think so too.
He kind of got the. I just think he's going to be a lot better this year. I don't want to say a lot better because that's kind of putting a lot on him, but I think he can take that jump. I think he can get 4 or 5 more points.
That is a lot on him, especially like considering what you expect him to do defensively too.
He averaged 28 in the playoffs. I know it wasn't many games, but he's kind of.
It felt like more.
Yeah, I want to say he's kind of the guy in the clutch now, which Embiid is the guy too, probably the main guy. But they went to Maxey a lot in the clutch too. But Kelly Oubre looked better. Caleb Martin. I think you have guys this year that you can't leave like you have in the past. And Maxey is one of, if not the fastest player in the league. So that helps him a lot too. And he might do some.
GM survey said De'Aaron Fox.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said GM survey said De'Aaron Fox for fastest player in the league.
Okay. Oh, I didn't even know they had that on there. I just saw parts of it. So yeah, he's one of the fastest players in the league. Yeah, it's a hot take, but I'm kind of willing to stick with it. Like I said, I wanted to do 28.
Projected win total is.
Good.
I was just gonna say projected win total is 52.5.
I'm taking.
Do you have over under for that?
I'm going over.
Over.
Yeah.
Last year, you said you had them at 53 and 29. Do you have them around the same? The world may never know.
You're back.
Okay, you're good now, I think. There you go.
All right, you hear me?
Yeah.
It has never been this bad. It's so irritating. Yeah, I'll say about the same. They were 31-8 last year when Embiid played.
That is important to know.
So, yeah, I'll take the over with that.
I went with a slight under. I went with about 50, 51 wins for them.
So, so do you think? I'm assuming we have the same number 1 and number 2.
Right?
Assuming.
You'd imagine.
Do we?
I have New York at 2 and Boston at 1.
Okay, we do. Kind of cut a little bit quicker since this index. I don't know. So do you have Boston kind of that far ahead, or Boston and New York that far ahead to kind of the 3 seed only having 51 wins?
I will say this. The projected win total for New York is 54.5, and I have them over that. I have Boston over on 58.5. So, yes.
Okay. See, I think the top part of the conference can kind of beat up on the rest. In the West, the rest of the bottom tier of the Eastern teams, and they play the West, which the West is good. Let me go see for sure what it was last year. What do you know?
If you're gonna make the claim that like the East will be closer, then I have it. You made the same claim last year too, and I made the same claim that I'm making now last year.
Okay. I'm trying to pull the standings up from last year.
But yeah, Boston's win total is 58.5. I have them over. I think Boston will be a 60-win team again. And New York's is 54.5. I think New York will be like a 56, 57-win team.
Did you take into account Porzingis won't play until like January?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I still think they'll blow through teams.
Okay. Yeah, the Jaylen Brown comment saying, they run through Sam Hauser or Peyton Pritchard against Detroit, kind of. I'd put that in the locker room if I was
For
Detroit.
real. And they still lose is the crazy part.
They could go away with 60 again. I wouldn't be surprised with it. But with KP out, how much do you want to play Al Horford kind of? I'm assuming he'll probably still be off the bench. Should be at his age.
You want to know my logic? Okay, you're good now. You want to know my logic?
Yeah, Derek White.
So Brooklyn, I think, will win 14, 15 games. I think Washington will win 16, 17 games. I feel like you have to have something to balance that out. And I think Boston on the other end is that. I think Boston winning 60-plus games is that. New York winning close to 60 games is that. So that's what I think.
Sweeping Brooklyn.
What about them? Okay, you're good now.
Hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of have them like sweeping like the bad teams, like the end of the bottom of every conference, kind of sweeping them.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I can see 60. It's just the Porzingis thing. Like I kind of Joe. I know I've kind of knocked Joe Mazzulla before. He is better than what I thought he'd be. I'll say that. But I don't want to say they're going to coast. But
my thing is, in the regular season, it just doesn't matter. In the postseason, it matters to have Porzingis in there. But in the regular season, like we said that going into last year, and they just blew through teams with Luke Cornett. It just didn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, like the good teams, obviously, they had a little trouble against, but
yeah,
they didn't play against good teams every night. They played against bad teams a lot of nights.
I know the games that we played them. Joel didn't play 2 of them, I think, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I can see it. I do think it'll be closer this year. Like I said last year, I think it'll be closer this year.
And with New York, I just think New York has such a winning formula. They have such winning players. Mikal Bridges and Cat, I can't wait to see how they like mesh with the rest of that team.
The
I
only
think
yeah,
I
my
think
bad,
they
go
could
ahead.
be a top 5 offensive team.
They
Low-key.
could, yeah, they could. But I think with New York, I think they're going to win a lot of games. But it is a winning formula. But the playoffs, I don't know.
Me neither. I
The
think
only
playoffs would be shaky.
Yeah, they can be a scary team for sure. I still think, I think we mentioned it. I still think that they lost the Minnesota trade, not by much,
Mm-hmm.
more of contract reasons, and you kind of lost an important role player. It is weird because
You know what I'm interested to see?
What?
I'm interested to see what happens to Jalen Brunson. I'm interested to see like him having less usage most likely this next season. I'm interested to see what that does to him.
I can agree with that. I sent you the thing the other day, like elevated in the playoffs,
Uh-huh.
and that's kind of going to be a fun.
Right.
Struggle a whole lot against certain teams, but
Mm-hmm.
but if you play Joel, if you play Giannis,
Mm-hmm.
I guess KP. I'll say Joel and Giannis for sure. But if you play kind of, Cat isn't the best defensive 5, and Mitchell Robinson will be back then. More, I think.
You
Should
would
be
think.
back. Unless something else, injury happens or anything. But yeah, it's just Will Tibbs kind of run, because we said that last year and it ended up happening.
Mm-hmm. Are you good now? I think you're good now. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear that.
My biggest thing is how healthy will they be come playoff time? Will Tibbs kind of run them in the ground like kind of Josh Hart did? I know Brunson got hurt in the game. It wasn't a fatigue thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of my biggest thing with the playoffs.
Minutes and rotation is going to be very interesting for them. Yeah, I agree, because you expect Mikal Bridges to be on the floor a lot. You expect OG to be on the floor a lot. I think they will play the most minutes